What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Logic Bomb Podcast, episode 36. And we are here on the day that Rainbow Six Siege was born. Happy birthday, Rainbow Six Siege. We're going to be talking as we go on about the birthday, 5 years of Rainbow Six Siege, what that means to us. We're also going to be talking about the recent top issues and community concerns blog that was released. And we'll go into that and all the big information in there, and there is a lot to go over. Just the two of us today, me and Zeronic, but I guess let's get into it here. 5 years of Rainbow Six Siege, Zeronic. What do you think, man?
It's been a ride. It really has. Someone actually posted on Twitter, a person I used to play with, like all the way back in year one, and it's insane to see the changes. Like everything from operators, lightning, like the ranking system, everything is so different. And it's weird looking back and then thinking that it's still the same game, but it's just updates, right? So yeah, I'm hoping for many more.
What's your first memory of Rainbow Six Siege?
Rage quitting. I tried it in the, I think it was called Family and Friends test or whatever it was when it was just before the open beta. And I got slammed by something. I think maybe I got wallbanged. And I came from CS, so I just thought that was kind of bullshit, man. Like, this is not for me. So I didn't touch it. And then I waited until release. So today is exactly 5 years since I started playing Siege, because when I started on the release date, I never stopped.
Interesting.
But yeah, I threw the whole game out pretty much. I actually think I uninstalled the game after that. So I don't blame people when they get bullet holed and they're a little upset about it, because I've been there. And we just did some no plan or no game, no plan, or no plan, no game. I can't remember what it's called. Where we pull in 4 people that have never played the game before, right? And Jesus, is there a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Like, it's overwhelming for newer players. I think we're lucky we've been there for 5 years, so it's like even big changes now are extremely easy compared to just starting the game.
No doubt about that. I mean, it's crazy to look at the game now compared to 5 years ago, all the changes. My first memory of Siege is actually, I remember playing and making videos for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare Search and Destroy. And I saw the E3 reveal where, everybody's seen it by now. It features a lot of things. It was literally a hype trailer, and it doesn't actually, it gives you an idea of what Siege was. It gives you an idea of what the vision of Siege was, but there's so many things in that trailer that don't exist. For example, they all get dropped off on the roof of house by a helicopter, and they rappel down. The floors didn't have the beams in them. So they, a thermite, I believe a thermite at one point places a breaching charge on a floor or something and just blows a hole in the floor in a random spot. It wasn't a hatch. And then they drop down through that. So there's so much that's different, obviously, from them. But that's my first memory, is seeing that reveal trailer. And as somebody who was playing Search and Destroy, I was like, oh my God, this looks like Search and Destroy on steroids. I cannot wait for this game to come out. Yep. And I wasn't too far off right there. I mean, Siege is Call of Duty Search and Destroy on steroids. I mean, that's one way you could kind of describe it. But I remember being really excited to play the beta. I played the beta on PS4, and the beta barely worked. The matchmaking system in it was, and really the matchmaking wasn't right until after Operation Health. That was a big part. I mean, and that's year 2 we're talking.
Yep.
I mean, it got better. Don't get me wrong. In the beta that I played, it was every hour maybe you would find a game. That's how bad it was. And then with Operation Health, they went to the one-step matchmaking, and it really improved things from there. But whenever I think back to 5 years ago, man, and I think back to how this game has changed my life. I mean, I do YouTube and streaming and everything, and this full time, it centers around Rainbow Six Siege. Without Rainbow Six Siege, I would still be, I mean, to be honest with you, real talk right now, if it wasn't for Rainbow Six Siege, I would be in Kuwait right now. I would still be in the Army. I would still be an aircraft mechanic. My unit is in Kuwait right now, and I would be deployed over there for a year. Yep. And I would be in Kuwait during one of the most tumultuous times we've ever seen in American history with the pandemic and everything. And I cannot even imagine leaving my family during that time. And, I thank God that I started playing Rainbow Six Siege. I thank God for all the work that's gone into this game and the fact that I'm able to do this for a living. My heart goes out to all the people. It's weird talking about that because like there are people who are over friends that I have in my unit that are actually over in Kuwait right now, and my heart goes out to them, and I appreciate their sacrifice. But I just whenever I start thinking about Rainbow Six Siege being 5 years old and how it's changed my life, like that's really where I go to immediately, and just I can't even express how grateful I am for this game, even though Valkyrie exists.
Yeah. I'd be climbing around in the bottom of a sewer doing pipelining. And I started Siege around around the time I stopped firefighting. And it just perfectly fit with something to keep you occupied because there was enough of a puzzle and still enough stress, I guess you can call it to some extent, where like you had to think kind of fast and you just kept getting more chances. Like if you lose a round, go again. Try again. And you could never hit that limit of like, it doesn't matter from day one until now. If I go in and spend 8 hours, I could learn for 8 hours every day. And that's kind of insane. Having that like endless pool of potential trial and error is so helpful. And it's definitely more than just a game to me. I mean, sure, it's work for both of us, but it's part of like our life, however weird that might sound. It's made me travel to almost every continent.
Been
around. In Olympic Stadium. Mm-hmm. We've been to Japan. We've been everywhere, right? With Siege, E3, something that I always wanted to go to. I got to experience through Siege. So yeah, it's been one crazy ride.
And here's to many more years. I mean, by the way, at the time of recording this, Operation Neon Dawn just dropped a new season. I know we didn't even mention that. Like, that's how much is going on, and that's how crazy this game is. I mean, there's literally we're on the first day of Operation Neon Dawn, but I think it was important to both of us to get on here. We apologize for I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but we apologize for the lack of content recently. Behind the scenes, we're working on kind of a special project here. We can't go into it, but we're working on a special project. We also are using new recording software for this episode, so please give us feedback. We're hoping that the software we're using right now improves the quality, gets rid of the lag that you experience between the audio and the video feed. So please give us feedback on how this looks compared to previous episodes. We're working, guys. Trust us. But first of all, we apologize for not, being able to do it weekly, and things are crazy right now. But we're still working, and it really meant a lot to both of us to get on today and kind of talk about the 5-year anniversary and birthday for Rainbow Six Siege, and also top issues and concerns in the new season. So I guess with that said, anything else you want to say as far as the birthday, or do you want to move into that top issues and concerns blog?
Happy birthday, and let's
5 more years at least, right? We gotta.
Yeah, I could do 5 more too, at least.
All right, so on the 30th of November, which was yesterday, or was it the day before? It was yesterday. The dev team at Rainbow Six Siege released their top issues and community concerns. This is an ongoing blog where they kind of let us know the status of some of the major community frustrations and problems within the game. And they put that out, and we're not going to read through it with you, but we wanted to highlight some of the big things that was in there. So, as you looked at that, what jumped out to you, Zeronic?
Honestly, mouse and keyboard. Not because it affects me in any way, but I know it's a massive topic and it's something that we hear a lot. So I think them just going out and saying that, we're looking at it, we're trying to see what we can do. but they seem to be fairly honest that the way I'm reading it right here is that it's a challenging task. They're unable to predict the outcome right now, but they're working on it. And that's the same when you look at the DDoSing and the cheating. Honestly, just saying we know means quite a lot. Because if there's a bit of silence there, it quickly, like we quickly as a community look at it and go, oh, why aren't they doing anything? Right. But they went out and said, you know what, we know.
Well, I think there's a very important, the sentence, this is their wording, and I'm quoting this here. The first sentence from that is, we are making progress on the matter. That, I mean, that's not nothing. You know, I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to solve it tomorrow. It doesn't mean anything necessarily, but it does mean that they're working on it and that they have seen they're closer now than they were when they started at maybe a potential solution. So that's awesome. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah. And it's definitely a siege soon thing. So it's not coming tomorrow. That's for sure. But yeah, like I think this is the first time they've said they're making progress.
I think so too.
I don't think we've heard that before. We know it sucks, but we can't do anything. That's what we've heard up until now. So yeah, like this is a big thing. And then fully egotistical streamer mode. Oh my god, am I happy that is gonna be a thing. I don't know if it's gonna help as much as I think it will. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's gonna be nice to be able to like mask yourself without having to jump on, like you play on your main account the whole time now. If you want to have a couple of games, like even if it's off stream, that goes for everyone. Like the way I'm reading it, it's probably gonna help with masking names and stuff like that. So it's I mean, otherwise it probably wouldn't work. So hopefully, if people want to play a game or a couple of games anonymous, they can do that. And I think that's good all the way around. I'd almost prefer if it was forced on for everyone, to be honest.
Well, okay, so I'm really glad about this too. I'm really encouraged about it. I think it's needed. However, there are some people who have said it's embarrassing that Rainbow Six Siege doesn't have a streamer mode yet. And okay, one thing that I'll say, look at, if you're the king of Rainbow Six Siege, look at, if you release a streamer mode tomorrow, what percentage of your player base will their lives be improved from that? Directly. Very, very small.
Yeah.
Very, very small.
The counter argument would be, what is the likelihood that you will get big streamers interested in streaming?
That's the indirect result of it. And that's just as important. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But I guess if I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, we have these problems and we need to start putting them in priority as far as which ones we're going to address first, it would be really tough for me to put streamer mode at the top of that list when it affects literally less than 1% of the community. Yeah.
100%. But that's a good little like segue just before we recorded this, we were talking about like Twitter and Siege is probably 2% of the community, right? Think about like in the grand scheme of things, how little like we matter, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like streamers is such a small portion, and it's such a small amount of the player base that watches the streamers as well. Probably the same with YouTube. YouTube is of course like much bigger in numbers. Pro players, the same thing, right? Like it's tiny little fragments where the effort or the stuff invested in these changes are probably a bit disproportional. It's because they can, not because they have to. So I'm glad that they choose to do it. Because they could probably get away with never doing it, right? Like
I mean, they went 5 years without it.
At least we have the status on that says first half of year 6. So if I have a first half of year 6 as like a a circa time frame for this, then I'm ecstatic. Like that, it is massive.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad about that too. I don't want to get it twisted. Like I've wanted this for a long time. I understand that there's things that are more important though. Why it's taken this long. They mentioned DDoS on consoles, and basically the way that I summarize that is like it seems like they've made some progress there, right? And they're seeing a reduction in the amount of cases, so that's good news. And it's ongoing. There's always a constant combat as far as stuff like that goes, but they do talk about it in there.
I think one of the problems with the whole, like, this is the thing with DDoSing and cheating, and we've talked about that before as well, is that if they need to come out and give some like real substantial explanation of stuff, it's going to end up helping the people that are the issue. So they can't go out and say exactly what they're doing. Honestly, the best they can probably give us is we're working on it, which sucks because it would be nice to know like what exactly you're doing. But that could then be used against them, right? So that it's a difficult one because they can't give too much info on some of these things. Then there's the server connectivity. There's actually a thing with that. So right now, because I had a lot of people come in and say, "Oh, they changed servers." They didn't. The thing you see where it says, I think it says game lift or something. To my understanding, and this is not 110% confirmed or anything, but to my understanding, it just shows you the ping to a data center. The servers are not changed. They're not running on some completely new servers or anything, and like the hardware and the stuff they run on is the same. And I don't think there was anything stopping that hardware from being good enough. I don't know if it's bloating, congestion, or whatever is causing issues when people have issues. But to my understanding, there hasn't been a server change before people start making long posts about how the servers are massively better than they were before. That is, if they are better, it's just the same servers that are better.
Well, that's good information. We skipped over cheating and hacking. Did you do that on purpose? Were you saving that for the big finale, or did you just skip it?
No, it was honestly more the whole thing with like, there's not that much to it, right? Like they mentioned we're working on it. Same with DDoSing, but they can't tell us anything. Like one thing I've noticed at least is that there is, and I gotta be careful with this because maybe I'm gonna get commented tomorrow when I jump into play, but I have seen a lot less super blatant cheaters on PC in the higher elo. What I have seen a lot more of is a lot of low levels that are really good. So the question is, maybe some of them are cheating. Maybe some of them are really good players that just don't want to play on their main accounts because of cheaters. So then the problem is like, you don't know, right? So everyone's paranoid. Like when you meet 4 level 90s with anime pictures, you're sitting there thinking, oh, what are we going to be playing against? Whereas like it shouldn't be like this. If you meet a stack of 5 pros, you think, whew, at least they're legit. Because jumping into the game, at least they're just good. And honestly, that's my biggest concern is that paranoia that like we all end up creating where we don't know, because that's the worst feeling. If you know that you're against a cheater, then it's a throwaway game. No one cares. You'll get your elo back. It sucks. But if you don't know, that's honestly the worst. You should be able to jump in and assume that every game is legit. Yeah, like that should be the standard. Fortunately, right now it doesn't feel like it is. But we have seen a metric ton of bans, though. that bandwave trigger is just rolling all the time, man. So I'm gonna assume that that's a really good thing. That it's because a lot of people are being caught, not because more people are cheating. That's my hope, at least.
I'm gonna skip down to the bullet holes. That's the next topic that I want to talk about. And they actually so they talk about bullet holes. Everybody's frustrated about bullet holes. Like, nobody likes bullet holes. You might use them, but nobody like, I've never met a single person who's like, yeah, whenever I die to a bullet hole, I just think, GG's, that's a better player. Like, nobody likes bullet holes. So they talk about that, and then they say that during year 6 season 2, they might be rolling out a potential fix or solution, or I don't know, some type of mechanic that changes the way bullet holes work. So that's exciting.
Yeah. I'm super interested to see what it is they're going to do with it, because it's got to be a difficult one to fix.
It's at the core of the game.
Like, yeah. But, so think about it. When we got, what was it called? Caliber-based destruction. Like the bullet hole size changed for different guns and stuff. If they go in and make it so you break more with each bullet, that might be a buff.
Yeah.
Right? It comes like, how DMR right now, like 2 shots and makes a massive hole, or Kelly instantly makes a hole, right? Like, we can't have every gun just be a Rooney punch to a wall. But on the other end, if they were to make like some sort of decal where it looks like it's cracked around the bullet hole, I don't think that will, like, it'll make you able to spot one bullet hole, but what if I put 10 of them in a line? You still can't see me, right? So that's what I'm worried about, is if it will change anything, because it took people a long time. I keep pretty much saying this every time bullet holes are up. I think it took about 2 years before we saw people like really use it as a
used
normal
to use melee
thing.
holes.
If you go back,
that was the first iteration,
and even that was new, right? Like that was something we saw in comp play, where they'd make like the whole little grid of melee holes, and you could peek different ones, and people were super surprised about that. But it took a really long time. I don't think you can go back and find year 1 videos of people using bullet hole spawn peek, right? So are they going to add like some sort of decal or some
that's
stuff?
That's where my mind goes. Because at the end of the day, if somebody melees a hole and shoots me through it, I do walk away feeling different than I do with a bullet hole, because I could see the melee hole. I could, whether it was on drone or wherever. I feel like I had a good opportunity to know, hey, there's a melee hole there. There might be somebody behind it.
So my fear is, we have a gunfight and we shoot at each other. Some of my bullets hit the wall behind you, and some of your bullets hit the wall behind me. Now one of us win, and Jeff comes down the hallway, and there is just spider web cracks everywhere. Which one do I worry about? Like, imagine you walk down a hallway and there's just melee holes everywhere. That would probably stress me more out. So yeah, like, I'm super worried about how they're gonna fix it, but I'm also creating some ghosts that don't exist yet, because I'm thinking of every way that I could abuse it when it becomes a thing. Because that will be the first thing. But then again, I don't know if that's the solution they're looking for. It was just the one that I thought would be the change to it. Maybe it's that you can't see through them.
That could be. That would be weird, because now does the sound go through actual how big does a hole have to be before sound will come through it?
Run a shotgun.
Okay.
Run a shotgun hole for it to like proper go through. And if we're talking about windows, they have to be completely broken, like glass. Sorry,
that's interesting. Maybe you're right. Maybe they just made it where you can't see through bullet holes. They have to be. It has to be like a DMR 2-shot hole before you can actually,
Yeah. And people had I've heard this a few places where they were talking about, what if we do height over bore? So like right now you shoot out of your eyes, right? What if you shot out of the barrel? Well, now you just change the entire core mechanic of Siege. In PUBG, for example, if you're close to a door and you're leaning, you can shoot the door frame, because your sight is here and your barrel is here. I don't think
it
that's
changes
the way to
everything.
go with Siege.
Changes everything.
That'd be too
I
big
mean,
of a
you could
change.
make the argument that Siege would have
So-
been better off designed that way from the get go, but I think doing it now would be
Sure.
a bit too radical.
Yep.
Yeah,
that would be too much. It's an interesting thing. I don't know what they're gonna do, but yeah, let's wait and see. I'm gonna scare myself too much if I.
What about
speculate on it.
I think maybe this one probably has the potential to be probably the most radical change on this entire board, and that is enemies are too hard to see with certain skins equipped. And let me actually read a little bit of this one, because this one, it really surprised me. It says, their wording here, certain operator skins are notorious for blending quite effectively within the environment. This led to situations where player considered to be a victim of an unfair advantage. We are investigating how to make operators stand out a bit more from the environment. Our goal is to let everyone pick and choose their skins without providing any sort of advantage. While we will proceed with caution on that topic, and we don't want this solution to clash with our general art direction of the game. So that's kind of crazy. Where my mind initially goes, like, I don't know how much Call of Duty you've played, but basically, if you go back, I know this existed in like Black Ops 4. If you actually paid attention, the players had like glow sticks on them, basically. Like, you would, like, no matter what uniform they're wearing, there's like little red lights on the player model that makes it very easy to see them no matter what. And even if their camouflage blends in the background, you're still going to see these kind of like lights moving around. And while it sounds ridiculous, like, why is my super soldier running around with a flashlight strapped to his uniform? It makes gameplay sense in a lot of ways. It depends on what you're going for. Are you going for like, could you imagine that in Squad? You know, a true tactical shooter? No. Where are we at in Siege though?
Yeah. Like that. So that's the thing. Like, I don't like the realism argument in Siege. I played the old Rainbow games as well. I played Ghost Recon. I played Arma, all of that. Like, I'm a massive sucker for like milsim games and stuff like that. But let's be fair, Siege is not that, and it hasn't been ever. It wasn't in year one. It wasn't in day one. It wasn't in the beta. It was a very pretty arcade shooter with a lot of destruction, and some tactical elements. And now it's closer to, I don't know, Dota with guns. It's amazing. I love the game. But it's super class based, and it's very, like, it's about the utility game, the destruction game, more than it is about the realism, or I'd even say the shooting. I think what we might see is the whole glow on people. Do you remember on like back in year one with night maps, everyone had this, like, they looked wet. And if you look at a lot of other shooters, Call of Duty 4 had this, where all uniforms looked like they were kind of gel. Like there was this kind of sheen, or I don't know, watery glow to everyone. Because they're cleaning up. I guess that's another one. They're cleaning up the whole haze thing after explosions, right? If you jump in Villa now, I don't know if they changed lighting or what they did, and I also don't know if they changed reflections. I noticed on Coastline, like, I've never seen it before, and it might have been there, and maybe I'm just old and dumb, but it looks like there's like really good reflections on almost everything now. And I didn't change my settings for it. But maybe they're cleaning up the game in general, so there is, like, so the overall map looks cleaner and with less like contrast changes and stuff like that, and then keep the player model in a different texture. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, imagine all the operators have this like rubbery texture on them, and all the walls are flat.
Yeah.
Right. Because then it becomes super easy to see stuff as well. And it wouldn't change anything to the gameplay for a bad thing. Like, maybe it becomes harder to hide in a bush. That's not really that bad of a thing. But, like, that's kind of the goal, right? So yeah. For me, it's not that big of a thing, because it's very rare. It's very, very rare that I died to something where it was because I couldn't see the player, I'd say bullet holes would be 10 times more common. But it does suck if I am walking up the one set of stairs in Villa where Ember Rise makes someone invisible. But I'll say they've already made it better. It is already easier to spot. And then I think they might have gone a little extreme with all the new season skins, because this season skins and the last season skin is like high vis.
But and that's what I'm looking forward to with this. Like I agree. Like I don't die very often to somebody in Ember Rise that I couldn't see, but more than anything, I want to be able to wear different uniforms and not have somebody in text chat telling me that I'm scummy because I'm wearing a different uniform. Or I want the new seasonal uniforms, them to be able to really get flexible with their design elements and not have to make them bright orange in order to avoid this, you know? So yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and not necessarily because I'm going to hit diamond because this exists, but just because I think it'll be a more enjoyable game experience.
I'm actually more upset about, I mean, we mentioned this with, when we were talking about the, what's it called? Mute Protocol. The mob headgear for Nuke, I absolutely despise that thing. The toaster headgear for Jackal, like that bothers me way more, because when I quickly go into a room, that is not a head. It's a compressed toaster.
I've ran into that with Kaskin's headgear. I forget which one it is, but it's basically just comes to a black point. So I've come in and he's been on a head glitch, and all you see is a black like triangle looking thing, and it doesn't register. Hey, that's a head. And that's messed me up before. Yep. It's the reason I'm not diamond. Yeah.
Same. Audio tinnitus.
Yeah, that's big.
There's nothing more about it.
I guess that's in the game now.
Like
did that roll out with season 4, or is that okay?
Yes. It is lowered now. I'll say it's still there. It's a lot less. I don't think they should fully remove it, because I'd be really upset if we're having a gunfight and you put me at 20 HP and I'm at the exact same, like there was no downside to it except for the fact that I only needed one more shot to die. So I think like having done damage to someone should give you some sort of an advantage. Not as big as it did before, but it's okay that you get like a little bit of hearing reduction. I think they tune it down so it's like only a couple of seconds now after you hit it, instead of 8 or 10 seconds or whatever it was before. I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but I'm sure it'll be in the comments.
And just for anybody who might not be familiar with what he's talking about, when you get down below 25 health, you get the ringing in your ears, and the that effect is what Zoranok's talking about. They're reducing the intensity of that sound.
Then the next one is pretty big. Improved flash detection and consistency. So that one, we want to simulate the light ricocheting with the environment. I'm a little scared of how far.
Yeah, especially with the Jager Nerf, because like this is like the perfect storm.
Yes, but also it's not fun to be blinded. And we all ask for flashes to be better, but every time there's any kind of utility that negatively impacts our vision or movement, we lose it, right? Like Twitter's blowing up the second there's like, give Ying one more Candela, no, broken, way too strong, can't do anything. She's controlled the meta. If everyone has 3 flashbangs and they all of a sudden start blinding people further away than they did before, and you don't have to burn Wamais and Jaegers with them anymore, maybe that's going to be a little terrifying. And also the idea of light ricocheting, like how far, right? Do I throw it in a hallway and then they could get blind in the other room? Or how does it, like, what do they actually mean with that? I think that one is a little too early and a little too vague to really have an opinion on yet. But I would be very scared if we start seeing like CS kind of flashbangs in Siege. I like that they have to land close to people to have a full effect. And I like that you can still turn from them, but if they're within 3 meters, you get blind no matter what. Because that, like, it makes it so if you are good at throwing a flashbang, you can kind of rely on them. Then there's all the stuff with if there's debris, maybe they don't really work so well. If they land in a little cardboard box, maybe they don't work. But yeah, I'm excited to see what exactly it means. I guess let's see.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for the top issues and concerns. Let's talk a little bit about Neon Dawn. It rolled out. What's that?
3D skins.
Oh yeah,
3D skins.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I actually did a video on that. So Neon Dawn rolled out today. With it is a new battle pass. The battle pass has 100 tiers. The previous battle pass had 70, but they're giving everybody till February 22nd to complete it, which is significantly longer than the previous battle pass. That's probably pretty close to the entire season, if maybe a week or two short, something like that. But if we look at the timetable, that's probably pretty close. So that's exciting. Within that battle pass, there are 3D skins. There's actually 3 different attachment skins. The previous battle passes all have 1. Now, the attachment skins in this, I believe, are unique to weapons, except for the last one. There's 1 universal attachment skin, and I think 2 individual attachment skins that are like for a specific weapon. So lots of different elements there. But beyond that, I mean, obviously, Aruni's rolling out the Jager Nerf. Big changes, and I'm excited to get in and play it after really when we get done here. But my initial thing is like Aruni. I'll be 100% honest. Like the more that I've played her, Aruni doesn't really move the needle for me. Like I don't. Maybe I'll develop a love for her over time. That's happened with other operators in this game, but it's not an operator that I initially see myself spending a ton of time playing. And I feel like this is one of those seasons where maybe like we look back and we're like, holy cow, Aruni didn't really, do much, even though she was kind of scary. But the Jager Nerf changed the game completely. There were some balance changes here and there. There were some quality of life improvements. And, this was one of the most impactful seasons we've ever played.
I think that things are going to change a lot because of the Jager stuff. But I think the biggest thing is that they compete against each other. Like, the Jager Nerf. So I played a little bit today. In all fairness, I only played unranked, and it was like we weren't, 5-stack sweating against other 5-stack sweating. Like we were having fun, but you can get a lot of value out of Jaeger, like a lot, especially if you stack them. You can basically guarantee that if you have 3 of them there and Thatcher's banned, that it's very unlikely that they remove them, right? Wamai seems a little more monkey-like. Now you have your impacts, you can run around everywhere, right? It's the same with Valk. Like you can speed up Valk and Wamai now. At least where I play, I think that's going to be like the monkey operators jumping out of every window and a bit more aggro play. But I don't think it's going to like massively change anything in the like the public gameplay. I think at competitive, we're going to see quite a change. And Aruni seems insanely fun. I don't know. I was very vocal about thinking that she should have a limit to how much she could punch holes in walls. But playing it today, like, you kind of end up having to be the one doing all the rotates. And then you have to set up all your gates. And you have to drop your 2 barbed wires. So even with the faster reinforcements, you still have quite a lot of stuff to do.
And who says that creating a lot of rotates is a defender advantage every single time? Like in the words of my good friend Imzo, those holes go both ways. And
well, so the scary thing is the castle stuff, right? Like you can one-shot castle and normal windows, and you can keep doing it just over and over. You can one-shot hatches, right? So she does have a lot of freedom. She basically has a very short range impact nade in a lot of situations.
Impact nade.
Like the fact that you can just run over a hatch and instantly, and then you can go through it, right? Is super strong. It's a lot faster. You can one-shot castles. Like if anyone's flanking, you just run up there to tap it, and then you're through. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. I don't think it is as bad as I thought it was going to be. just because you don't really have time to do as much as I thought maybe you had time to. The Hibana change is
I'm
insane.
so excited
I love
about
it.
that. I'm glad you mentioned it.
It's
Yeah.
so sick. But it's important to note that the trick where you shoot the top and the bottom out is going to be changed. That is not intended. It's a bug. It will be removed. You're still going to be able to Mav trick the top and the bottom. I think originally that was actually a bug as well, but they liked it and kept it in. That's at least my understanding. That I don't think that was an intended feature, because then they probably have showcased it. But yeah, the Hibana thing is getting removed, so you can't open a full reinforced panel with two shots, or two sets of 2x2. But yeah, you can make like crouch holes with, what is it, 8 tin pellets now. You can make like a crouch hole. You can make a prone hole with 4.
You can make a prone hole reliably with 4. You can make a crouch hole with 4, but it's not reliable. Every time I did it, I experienced rubber banding.
Okay.
And I would be very, and you have to get it perfect. I would be very hesitant to try that in a real game, but it is possible. I think the and maybe this is me looking into it too much, but I think the biggest potential for the Hibana buff is what it does to impact tricking. So now the classic hatch that gets impact tricked on Clubhouse, it's basically nullified now, because she can use 2, waste 1, 2 more, waste another impact. Now you're going to need teammate support, and she's only gotten rid of 4. Previously, she would have gotten rid of 12 pellets. Now that's down to 4. So that's one example. But if you think about it on a main wall as well, like a vertical wall, if they're trying to impact trick that, you can throw 2 near the bottom. And if their impact isn't perfect, they're, first of all, not going to get rid of it. Now there's a hole in the wall where you have a line of sight. And if they're trying to impact trick, that's going to affect where they can be. I personally, I put out a tweet not too long ago. I said, do you think it's strange that you're more likely to prevent a wall from being opened by using impacts than you are by using either Bandit or Cade? And maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I do think that you see it more often. People preventing hard breach through impacts more than the gadget's designed. So I think the impact tricking had evolved a little bit too strong, and I'm hoping this reins it in a little bit.
So, like, I love the technical aspect of impact tricking. I think it's so lovely that the game plays out in a way where the community finds ways around everything. Like it's this, like, we're basically just trying to break the game all the time, and it's lovely. I think the big strength with Hibana and the reason it's so good that it comes now is that with Aruni being there, she's a really good counter to Aruni. Just 3 flashes, she can burn the gates with 2 sets of pellets if you want to. If there's an Aruni gate on top of a hatch and they're impact tricking, you can shoot 2 to burn the set, and then you can shoot another 2 and another 2 and another 2, and you're guaranteed that eventually you will get this hatch open. So you don't have to rely on like the defender making a mistake anymore. You can reliably get stuff done. That's pretty good. She's good against Castle. You can do a lot of funny things with her as well now, where you can place them on windows and create a lot of noise. I just think it's good. She, in my opinion, she is more in line with Ace and Mav now. In terms of, like, they all kind of bring their own really strong thing. She can open more hatches than anyone else, so she's still queen of the hatches, right? Mav can ignore the Kaid. Ace has the smokes and the charges that can remove shields as well. And Thermite is still the best at opening a garage wall. So they all kind of make sense now. Which is pretty neat. And the echo change, I think it's a lazy change, but
I was surprised that they went that direction. Listen, I'm okay if the end result is that Echo isn't banned every single round and it frees up that ban for other operators, including Valkyrie, then I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that end result. But I'm surprised the route they decided to go to get us there. Because I just don't know how that drone is going to be useful if it's not invisible. But maybe the players will figure that out.
I think. Yeah, I'm assuming we're just going to see Echoes be more aggressive with the drones, which honestly would be a lot more fun to play and to play against. Because at least my experience in ranked is that probably 8 out of 10 times Echo ends up dying and the cams are just on site. And they're basically just Valk cams. So it didn't matter if we were against Valk or Echo because, 20 seconds left, it can be extremely difficult to find that one. It could also have been a Mossy drone or Bulletproof or Meistercam or so many other things. And at the end of the day, you have to assume that they can see you anyway, unless you checked everything, right? But I want to see like people aggro drone with Echo. Like, that could be hilarious. We've seen a little bit of it in Pump. Back like Redeemer did it a bit. I think we've seen Goga do it as well. It's happened here and there, but it's rare. But yeah, like if that's what ends up happening, then I'm happy.
I'm kind of in the same place, in all honesty.
And fast reinforcements are absolute.
Yes. I made a list for Thanksgiving of all the changes over the last year that I'm thankful for. And I forgot several things, but I didn't put the reinforcement pool in there. And that's probably one of the best changes in the last year. And then I'm hoping this just adds on to it. I think this is great. It's only what, a second and a half or something like that, but still it's good.
I think it's 20% or something. Not sure, but yeah, it's probably around a second, but it feels massive. I think it's fun though that I believe in one of the first podcasts we did, we actually talked about that as one of the things we wanted. Like a pool of reinforcements would be nice, and then we had some of the fears that maybe people were just going to run away and reinforce it. Like, so that hasn't been my experience. That all the reinforcements get misused or that someone steals too many of them. It's happened, but it's not.
The biggest problem I've kind of into is people just like, oh well, they'll get the reinforcements. I'm gonna go get ready for my spawn peak.
Yeah, it's actually the exact opposite of what I thought was gonna happen. Is like you're more likely to have the 6 reinforcements left. But the nice thing then is that you at least have a choice. It's not, my Jaeger ran away and did nothing, and I can't use them. Now I can go and make up for it if I want to. It's not fun doing that, but at least I had the option of using whatever he decided not to use. So,
you've got the Neon Dawn notes up yet, right? So what else are we missing from this season? Anything?
I mean, we can quickly go over why it's such a damn big patch.
Yeah, it was like 80 gigs is what I downloaded, 78, something like that.
64 for me. I don't know if you have the ultra textures. Well, so the super short explanation is that they have to repack stuff. So you download one massive patch, but it ends up making your game smaller. So you don't end up having like a 200 or 300 gigabyte game. It's not ideal, but it's better than the alternative. If you were just getting like 5-10 gigabyte patches here and there, eventually your game would be like 200 gigabytes. And I know that there are some games where that's completely fine. But yeah, that's just how it's going to be. And then there's another like little bit technical thing. I don't know if Siege does this, but I know a lot of games do. There's still a lot of people that have hard drives and not SSDs, or hard disk drives and not SSDs. When you do that and you need to be able to like get textures really quickly, you put your textures like in different spots. So wherever you are in the spinning disk, you can access them quickly. You don't need to worry about that on an SSD. You can instant access pretty much everything, right? So a lot of stuff has like 4 or 5 of the exact same texture just split out on different, or it might not even be textures, but just different files split out and duplicated different places. So that has a little to do with why some games are a bit bigger than they might have to be. But there's a good reason for why it is the size it is. It sucks for the ones that have slow internet or meter connections. It really does. But To my knowledge, there's just no alternative
One
right
thing,
now. At least.
one thing I wanted to mention, I wish I would have mentioned in the beginning when we were talking about the battle pass. This battle pass, I believe 30% of the proceeds go to the R6 share program or 6 invitational prize pool. So that's awesome. It also probably means that at some point we're going to see the stadium map come back this season. That would be my guess.
I'd be surprised if we don't, because that whole trailer,
it had the stadium feel, didn't it? It looked like they were at the stadium. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes, I'm pretty convinced. What I'm really just quickly on the 3D skins. I think last time we got a battle pass, there was actually a 3D skin there as well. Finka's gun, the spear, had a black skin where the front muzzle was a little different.
I had no idea.
Because I remember, I think I was playing with Bikini where we looked at it and he said the gun looks different. I was like, nah, it's just different skin. And then we paired them and yeah, like it is a different like form on the gun. It's not as extreme as the that's my point. What are those 3D skins? Is that like, it looks like a paintball gun or a laser gun or some weird thing, and it looks like everyone has these, like all the captains or whatever was in that video, they all have these FX masks or whatever it is. So I'm excited to see, because honestly I don't really like those skins. I think they look kind of goofy, but I'm just excited to see if it's a gameplay thing. Like if the 3D skins and that uniform helmet stuff has anything to do with what gameplay we might get at an event, or if it's just a cosmetic and then maybe it's some lore to it or something, and I would just end up having like stadium like we did last time. Because it's a lot of effort to put in to make, like, the skins are very specific. They have these like light thingies with cables on it. It seems like a lot of effort to put into something. If
like maybe we get on the stadium map and they like light up or something, or like there's like
playing laser tag. I don't know. Paint.
Yeah, could be. That's an interesting take.
I was really trying to figure out why the guns looked so funky, but the revolver that's sick. Cool.
One of the comments I got in my video was that revolver skin makes me feel like I might actually hit something with it.
Yeah. Or at least kill it, even if you don't hit it. There was one skin, I got a legendary today for Zero. I think it's called Howling Moon.
I saw that on Twitter. Dude, I can't believe you already got that. That's super lucky.
It was 150 alpha packs though. And also, this is just pure speculation, but I think they've changed something with the amount of duplicates you get. Because I got more non-duplicates opening these 150 alpha packs than I... Like, last season when I opened 150, probably 9 out of 10 were duplicates.
Well, I hope that's the case. That'd be cool.
And here, probably 30 or 40% were non-duplicates. Like, it felt weird opening it. Maybe it's just luck of the draw. I don't know. But yeah, for the viewers, just keep an eye out and see if you get the same feel. Maybe it's just lucky. But I think they changed something with the duplicate rate.
Might be.
But
I have a bunch I'm going to open here soon too, so hopefully I can have some good luck. You want to wrap it up on that note? You good? Or okay? All right.
Yeah.
Well, again, we'll keep you guys in tune with what we're working on, and hopefully with last month of 2020 and heading into 2021, we'll be able to get back on schedule more normally next year. But we appreciate everybody. Seriously, once again, happy birthday, Rainbow Six Siege! Thank you for changing our lives. Thank you for provide. I mean, I talked a lot about how it changed. It gave me a job, but I mean, I've created so many friendships. All the travel, all the good time just playing the game. I mean, at the core level, I've spent thousands of hours of enjoyment from this game. So happy birthday, Siege. And with that said, I guess we will sign off and we will see you guys on the next one.